Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the regular scheduled Beavercreek City Council meeting. And before we get started with the formal part of the meeting tonight, we have some proclamations to issue. So if I can ask our friends in our finest in blue to please come up and join me. We have a proclamation declaring National Police Week. Gentlemen, come up here and join me if you would. You know, this in our community, I think Police Week is every week. We admire everything you do, but to make it official, we're going to make this becoming week Police Week. Whereas the Congress of the United States has designated May 15th of each year to be Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which May 15th falls is National Police Week. And whereas the members of the Beavercreek Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of Beavercreek. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agencies, and that members of our agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, protecting the innocent against the deception, and the weak against oppression. And whereas the Beavercreek Police Department has grown to be a modern and nationally accredited law enforcement agency, and that the men and women of the police department unceasingly provide a vital public service. Now therefore, I, Bob Stone, Mayor of the City of Beavercreek, Ohio, along with the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of May 12th through 18th, 2019 as National Police Week in the City of Beavercreek. And we further call upon all citizens of Beavercreek to observe Wednesday, May 15th, 2019 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who through their courageous deeds have made the ultimate sacrifice and service to their communities, or have become disabled in the performance of duty, and let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. Gentlemen, I take great honor in being able to present this to you, and we thank you for all your service. You have the floor, sir.
All right, Mayor, thank you for recognizing Police Week. I have with me Sergeant David Darko and Officer Brian Klein are here to accept this with me. And again, I thank City Council for recognizing Police Week. You know, 41 officers so far this year have lost their lives in the line of duty, servicing their respective communities across this country. And we thank you for recognizing this week and honoring them. And we pray for the safety of all officers in all communities across this country. So again, thank you, Mayor, and thank you to Council for this recognition. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Now, I would like all the young children in the crowd to please come up here and join me if you would. We've got a fun proclamation here to make here. Come on up here. So, please, come on, anybody that's young, in the younger group, come on up here. Come on. All right, we're going to have some fun up here. You're going to help me, right? All right.
Sometimes I get wild.
Oh, he gets wild, does he? Well, all right, you calm him down. Well, this proclamation is about Kids to Park Day. So I'm going to read this to you, all right? Whereas Kids to Park Day, organized and launched by the National Park Trust, is held annually on the third Saturday of May. And whereas Kids to Parks Day empowers and encourages families to get outdoors, visit Beavercreek's parks, and realize the importance of introducing a new generation to our community parks. Do you get to go to the parks often?
Uh-huh.
All right. And whereas we should encourage children to lead a more active lifestyle to combat the issues of childhood obesity, diabetes, and other health problems. And whereas Kids to Park Day is open to all children and adults across the country, in our community to encourage a large, diverse group of participants. And whereas Kids to Park Day will broaden children's appreciation for nature and the outdoors. Now, was that enough? Did you hear enough?
Yeah.
All right, well, we're just about done. Now, therefore, I, Bob Stone, Mayor of the City of Beavercreek, along with the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim Saturday, yeah, we're up there, proclaim Saturday, May 18th, 2019 as Kids to Park Day. And we urge residents to visit the parks and trails and truly make the City of Beavercreek a beautiful and enjoyable community to live in. Now, I'm going to come down here on your level. Come on over here. I want you kids to hold this for me, will you?
Okay.
All right. Now, are you going to go to the park next week?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Would you take that back to the young lady with the camera back there for me?
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Almost had to have some help getting back up. But that's okay. All right, we've got something up on the screen y'all want to take a look at, the Great American Rail Trail. Now, the proclamation is National Bike Month, but a lot of us don't realize that the National Trail goes all the way across the country and it runs right through Beavercreek, Ohio. So it's quite an honor to be on that trail, and not that we moved anywhere just to get there, but it found us. But we're so proud that it does run through Beavercreek. So is there anybody here from the bike committee or bike trails? Please come up and join us. How you doing? Okay. Yes, sir. You all look like you ride bikes all the time compared to me. All right. Whereas for more than a century, the bicycle has been an important part of the lives of most Americans. And whereas the League of American Bicyclists has declared the month of May as National Bike Month to encourage Americans to experience the benefits of bicycling through community events, helmet promotion, educational programs, and other bicycling activities. And whereas the City of Beavercreek recognizes that bicycle riding is a valid form of both recreation and transportation, and that increased bicycle use is a simple way to improve the health of our residents, the quality of our air, and the vitality of our community. Now therefore, I, Bob Stone, Mayor of the City of Beavercreek, Ohio, along with the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2019 as National Bike Month. We also go a little further to say May 13th through May 19th, 2019 is Bike to Work Week. I think you're going to have more to say on that here in a minute. And then also May 17th, 2019 is Bike to Work Day. All this in the City of Beavercreek, and we encourage all citizens to participate in the bicycling activities, promote safety awareness, and be alert to cyclists on our streets, and that is very important. Be alert to the cyclist. Gentlemen, I'd like to present this to you and turn the floor over to you and make some comments. So thank you very much.
Sure.
Please.
So as Mayor Stone mentioned, May is National Bike Month, and then we've got Bike to Work Day coming up on May 17th. So Keith will be leading a ride from Fifth Third Gateway Park. Anyone's interested in joining him, he'll be leaving about 6:30, 6:45 to head to downtown Dayton, to Riverscape Metro Park, to take part in all the festivities down there. We have a few other things coming up. Saturday the 18th, we'll be having an information booth right off the bike trail by Fairfield Station. So if you're out on the trails that day, come check us out. 8 to 11 a.m. we'll be out there. Possibly a little less if the weather's poor, but fingers crossed we'll have good weather.
We will.
The upcoming, Monday, May 20th, the upcoming Beavercreek Matters session at the library will be focused on bike and non-motorized transportation issues. We'll have some discussion, some information about some projects going on, the trails, super streets, things like that. Did I leave anything out? Yes, we do have helmets for kids to give away on Saturday too. So if you know any kids that need a bike helmet, stop by the table. We've got plenty of those to give away. But you may want to come towards the early end, because I can't guarantee they'll last for the full 3 hours.
All right.
Did you want to say anything about that?
So the Great American Rail Trail is 3,744-mile trail from Washington, D.C. to Seattle, Washington. It is currently 52% complete, and it's 100% complete through Beavercreek. So there's a bunch of other states and communities that it also goes through, and it'll be a great tourist destination in the next few years when it's fully completed.
So when it's complete, you're guiding a tour, right?
I'm sure I'll ride it one of these days.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for
Thank
everything you
you.
do for the bikes. Thank you. All right, now, we'll call the formal part of the meeting to order, and may we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Curran.
Here.
Councilmember Literal is absent. Councilmember Rushing.
Here.
Councilmember Upton.
Here.
Councilmember Van. Here. Vice Mayor Garcia is absent. Mayor Stone.
Here. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I would move to excuse Vice Mayor Garcia and Councilmember Literal.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to excuse Vice Mayor Garcia and Councilmember Literal. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would like to turn the meeting over for a moment to Councilmember Curran for the pledge.
Would all rise, please? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could just bow our heads in a moment of silence, remembering, as we heard the mayor speak and the officers and the chief speak, of the number of police officers who have died in the line of duty. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have an agenda before us this evening. Any changes? Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, if there's no changes, I would move for approval of the agenda as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as submitted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, approval of the minutes. First is April 15th, 2019, the work session. Any corrections or additions to the minutes?
Move they be approved.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for April 15th as submitted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Next, the minutes for the April 22nd regular scheduled meeting, 2019. Any changes?
Mr. Mayor, if there's no changes, I'd move for approval.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of April 22nd as submitted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. All right, we have two pre-scheduled presenters tonight, and I'm looking forward to both of them. We're going to start with the U.S. Census Bureau. And Carolyn, would you please come up and join us, please? And
I'm not sure how well I was going to be able to read that, so I was bringing my cheat book up with me. First of all, my name is Carolyn Tepe. I'm Partnership Specialist with the United States Census. I want to thank you guys for having us here today to talk about the census. We have started our activities around the census. However, we have not brought on your partnership specialist yet. So we have a couple people covering your county and your area. I represent Butler, Warren, Preble, and Darke counties, so I'm familiar with the area. It's not like I'm far away. I actually grew up in Kettering, and so I'm very familiar with this area, as I was telling Mayor Stone when I was talking to him earlier. So to get started, we're going to talk about the 2020 census, and today we're going to talk about the goal, why we conduct a decennial census, how our design for 21st century changes for the 2020 census is, and how your community can help. So the census's goal is to count everyone once, only once, and in the right place. And that means each of us in this room. It means each of us in your city. It means everyone in your county. Everyone living in these entities on April 1st need to be counted. Next. Why? Because it's in the Constitution. It's Article 1, Section 2. It says that we will count our population every 10 years, and we do that on the zero. Next. So a little history about the U.S. Census. Our first census was in 1790. It was conducted by then Secretary of State Thomas Jefferson. It was conducted on horseback. We had 3.9 million people in the United States. So that gives you an idea of what they had to face. Jumping forward to 1970 is we introduced the mailback feature. In 1990, we started doing electronic data collection and telephone response began. In 2010, after the 2000 census, deleted the long form, and most of us remember that. That was a super long thing that came to us, and we had the little bubbles that we filled out. So that was eliminated at that point, and we went to something called our American Community Survey, which we do every month of every year in the United States. It's a rolling census count, and I can talk more about that a little bit later. So this 2020 census will be the first time that respondents can do it online. And I'll talk a little bit about more of that later also in the presentation. So there's 4 main uses of census data. That is apportionment, redistricting, funding, and planning. Next. Thank you. Apportionment is our congressional seats. So we determine based on population where our congressional seats will be located in the next 10 years. In 2010, we lost in Ohio 1 seat. So that's why, 2 seats. That's why we're in gold. And the dark blue states gained states. Now, Ohio, this coming year, we anticipate that we could possibly lose 1 more seat. So that's why it's very important that we count everyone in Ohio. It's not because Ohio isn't growing. We're just not possibly growing at the same rates of the states in blue and some of the other states. So that's why we have a concern. Next. Redistricting. As we know, redistricting is an important thing that takes place after the census. It's where we draw our boundaries for congressional, state, and legislative districts, and some use it for school district redistricting too. The most important thing on this screen is $675 billion federal dollars are divided among states, then to counties, then to cities and townships. And that's why counting everybody is important, because it determines your piece of the pie. And that's for transportation and road monies, that's for social service programs, it's for support systems for children like Head Start and the school lunch program. It's also healthcare services and senior services. Next. So what does this mean for Ohio? In Ohio, there was not in Ohio, but nationally there was a study done by the George Washington Institute of Public Policy, and they looked at every state, and they looked at the top 16 funded programs in fiscal year 2015, and they determined in the state of Ohio that every person is missed. It loses about $1,814 coming to Ohio, and then that is times 10 years, and then we don't often have one person in a family not respond. We have a whole household, so then that multiplies even further out. Next slide. It also is about planning. Residents use this to talk about community initiatives, about legislation, about quality of life and consumer advocacy. Local governments use it for public safety and new schools planning. Businesses use it to decide where to build factories and where to invest in communities. And real estate developers use it to improve neighborhoods and communities. Next. So our 2020 census, so looking at what that's going to look like for us. Right now, and in the last few months, we've been looking about where are we going to count. So we've been working with the county and local governments with LUCA information to determine addresses. We'll be confirming those addresses in August of this year through October by address canvassing. And then we're also starting the Motivate People to Respond phase, which is why I'm here before you today. And we're looking for partnerships to make sure that people in the communities at the local level understand about the census and can have their questions answered by census ambassadors so that they will respond. Then we will be counting the population starting in March of 2020. The mailings will go out on March 12th. we just got this date changed last week. That's why I'm being hesitant on it. But on March 12th, everyone will also be able to log online and fill out their census, and that will be happening then. They also will be able to use traditional methods like paper and telephone, but the online response will be available, and it's something that they can even do from their cell phones. Yeah, that's good. Go ahead. We were on this slide. It kind of rehabs in a linear look about what I just talked about. But the most important part of this is that we start in 2018 with our on the ground running. We actually have our regional offices that are just starting to open up. We have one in Columbus. We have another 7 that will be opening at the end of the summer. And then we also report all of this information to the president on December 31st, 2020, and then we give it to the states in April 2021. Next. So this just gives you an idea. The other 4 counties lying on the edge of this event are the counties that I actually cover, but I have Greene County in the center there. The reason I wanted to show you this is we use a tool called Response Outreach Mapper that allows us to look at communities and determine where low response rate areas are. The darker the blue, so let me say this right, the lower the response rate in those areas are. So the dark blue areas are the areas of the least response, and then moving to the lighter green. So next. Census data shapes communities for the future by shaping their schools, public safety, senior citizen services, natural disaster responses, veteran services, and our parks and recs. So everybody in our community has a role. You could be a census ambassador. You could serve on complete count committees. You can work for the census, or you can follow us on social media. Next. Census ambassadors help us reach hard-to-reach populations like renters, highly mobile people, young adults, and this is regardless of socioeconomic status. I like to say this. My son does not understand at the age of 21 that he's an adult. He lives in an apartment by himself, and he needs to respond to the census, and neither do any of his friends. So it's a really hard-to-reach population. We also have difficulty with low income. People under the age of 5 were the largest undercounted population in 2010, so we're making special efforts towards that age group. Non-English speakers, LGBTQ people, persons, racial and ethnic minorities, and the mentally and physically disabled or other populations that we struggle with. As census ambassadors, you can help us increase the participation rate about data privacy and confidentiality issues, fear of repercussion, distrust of the government, feeling that it doesn't matter that you're counted when in fact it does, because everyone benefits from the census. Next. So we're asking each community to form a volunteer committee that is going to be established by local governments or community leaders. It is to increase the awareness. It's to push census data out into your community so people are fully and completely aware of the census. Next. It increases your self-response rate, which also helps us save money as taxpayers, because the more people that respond to the census at the initial ask will save us money by not having to send people out to their homes with enumeration. Also, it utilizes local knowledge and influence and expertise about your community. It brings together a cross-section of people who know the community and that can speak the language of the community and know the pulse of the community. We're asking that you start working on that now. I am very happy to hear that Mr. Upton is serving on the county, correct? So I'm glad that there's some crossover there. We are asking that each level of government form, because the best interests of the county necessarily aren't the best interests of the local area, so we want to make sure that everybody is counted and that we do not feel at all that it's a duplication at all. So next. These are some of the people that traditionally are on a complete count committee. This is more of a municipal layout. Your HUDs of public school, your libraries, community organizations, business leaders. Next. Some other areas that you can look into are like veterans, homeless population, immigrants. They also can make good representation on your committee. Next. And then jobs. We currently have positions available, lots of positions, and a lot of them have very good pay. The starting pay for an enumerator or an address canvasser are $16 an hour for Greene County. So that's a lot. These are fabulous jobs for people who are looking for extra income. These are jobs that are flexible with hours and so forth, and they will, and one of them will be starting soon. We also are filling positions in our Dayton regional office right now, so those are also full-time jobs that'll go until the end of the census. Next. This is the way you can reach us. I am based out of the Philadelphia office, even though I live here. So you can reach the Philadelphia office at these numbers or this email. Next. The next thing is, with the 2020 census, we'll be disseminating our data different than we have in the past. We've traditionally used a platform called FactFinder. FactFinder will be phased out, and this new census.data.census.gov will be out on the market. It's actually up and running now, and so you can go there and see current American Community Survey information, but they're also running some academies, and we want to make sure we're sharing that with the right people about that. So you can reach us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Pinterest, and our traditional websites. And if any of you have questions, I'm more than happy to try to answer them for you tonight.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
Anybody? All right.
Yeah, it's, I know, one thing that I heard at one of the meetings I went to was that I found interesting was that you're counted, and correct me, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought I understood this. If you're counted where you're at, not where you might call home, for instance, UD students or state students, they're counted here versus somewhere else that they may live.
Correct. It's where you lay your head the majority of the time and on April 1st. So students, such as college students, are counted at the university because they use the services the most in their time at the university. So that is where they are counted. And then it's where you are on April 1st, yeah.
Okay.
If you have a tiebreaker, such as a custody. You know how parents have 50-50 custody? They would, the tiebreaker on that would be where the child is on April 1st is who would count them. So.
What about snowbirds?
Snowbirds is another one. It's where you spend most of your time. It's where you spend most, and if it's a tiebreaker, then, like if you feel like you're really 50-50, then it's April 1st. So the same rule applies to them also.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not where you vote or where you're registered. It's where you spend most of your time. Correct.
And then military sometimes claim a state as their home state, but if they're living here, they're counted here?
Their military situation is a little bit different, and there's several levels of that, and I can share those with you guys on a case-by-case basis. And that's part of becoming a census ambassador, and so you can listen to each person's question and then determine, you know, what is the right answer for that person, but it does vary, yes.
Okay, that'll be a very important answer for us to
Yes,
have.
it will,
here
and I
locally
will
where
forward
we're
that
at.
to your person.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, thank you very much.
No problem.
I'm
Thank
sure
you,
we'll have
guys. I appreciate
lots
it.
of questions later on, but
Yeah, you
not
will.
right now.
That's all right.
Okay, thank you. All right, next is, the next pre-scheduled presenter is the Beavercreek Youth Council, and I would like to ask Callie Hestick, the president, to please come up and bring whoever else up you'd like, please, and introduce them.
Thank you for having us.
Who do you have with you?
So this is Coulter, Audrey, Claire, and Hudson, and
Right.
Claire is our service learning coordinator. So thank you for allowing us to come and talk about Beavercreek Youth Council and give you an update about what we've done this year and in the past. My name is Callista Hess, and I'm going to be a senior at BHS next year, and I am the president of Beavercreek Youth Council. So BYC is the city's youth group, and we help with many city events. We volunteer for organizations, plan city youth events, host 2 middle school dances, and much more. I also have another paper that'll go over like what I'm talking about, and there's some pictures on there as well, so you can, if you guys want to take a look at that. So this council is comprised of any youth that are in 6th through 12th grade that either live in Beavercreek or go to Beavercreek City Schools. We promote volunteerism, leadership, community, and overall just service. And we meet twice a month to discuss opportunities and ways for us to become more involved. We elect a president, vice president, secretary, public relations officer, and a service learning coordinator. And these youth lead the meetings. We often, during our meetings, we will do other service events such as packaging hats, gloves, and hygiene items. We've packaged lunches, we made blankets, all sorts of stuff. And these are all donated to different groups. The money for all of these activities that we do come from proceeds from our middle school dances. We typically donate anywhere from $1,000 to $2,500 from each dance. And some of the events that are planned and run by us are a rake and run, which is where we go and rake senior citizens' yards in Beavercreek. We run our spring and fall middle school dance, and that's where we get our money to give back to the community each year. We also host a booth at the Popcorn Festival to try and get more members and, again, promote volunteerism. We have volunteered at the summer kickoff that's run by the Parks Department. We volunteer at Try a Truck, Taste of Greene County, the Day of Caring Pancake Breakfast over at the Senior Center. We normally make a team and help with Hands Against Hunger. We've also hosted a table at the Lafino Plaza Palooza. We've also started running a bingo night over at Greenwood Manor for the seniors and residents there. We've volunteered at a pool tournament, the Sweetheart Dance over at Heartland, Make a Difference Day, and we volunteer with Maine PTO events a lot. And the money that we make through these dances has helped us to adopt seniors at Christmas and provide them with personalized gifts. We've sent baskets to Summit Academy, Michael's House, Polish Girls, and we've also adopted Christmas trees to decorate at local nursing homes. We've packaged over 200 lunches for St. Vincent de Paul, provided hygiene bags to the two Greene County residents in need. We've made blankets for different organizations, provided socks and shoes for the shoeless, and checks to Creek Safe, Richardson Foundation, Soul Center, and more. And we've also helped with different drives and ran our own drives for collecting clothing and different items for Hope's Closet, Feed the Creek, Sixa, Four Paws, and Creek Supplies Closet, which was just created this year. And we've also had the pleasure of being invited to the State House by Representative Perales, and where we took a tour and we watched a house session. And each year our activities change as we're invited to different events, and the youth vote on what we're going to participate in. And everything that I've said is just an overview of what we've done so far. We also took and over at the Ronald McDonald House, we took some youth and served food there. We created a meal for their dinner. And we'd love to invite you guys to go check out our Facebook. It has lots of updates and photos and videos about what we do. And if you guys have any questions or need volunteers for an event or have other ideas for service projects, we would love to hear them.
Well, you just opened the door. No, I don't know where you guys find time to do your schoolwork, but it's a fantastic group that, and I want to give due credit. I think, Julie, you were one of the original founders of this to help get it started. There's a lot of parents behind the scene that helped keep this going as well. And so, any questions? Anybody? Julie?
I want to give him a standing ovation.
I was going to ask him to come over here. I'm going to have to walk through here. Shake your hand.
Thank you, dear. Great. Congratulations to you. It was great.
Well done.
Congratulations, dear.
Thank you for
Congratulations.
coming out tonight.
Congratulations, sir.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So
Yeah, that's super.
thanks for all you do. Thanks for all you do. Thanks for all you do.
If you keep your eyes open, no matter where you go throughout the year, you'll run into this group, and And whenever you see them, give them the little word that you appreciate what it is they're doing. So thank you guys very
Thank
much
you so
for
much.
everything.
It was set up to be a leadership opportunity for youth to learn how to do projects, and boy, that list of stuff that you guys listed for this year is absolutely terrific. Thanks and congratulations. You got to be proud.
All right. Next. Not quite as entertaining as what we've had so far, but we're going to get into a public hearing, a PUD 19-1, please.
This is case number PUD 19-1 on an application filed by Danis Incorporated, 3233 Newmark Drive, Miamisburg, Ohio, 45342. The application requests approval to rezone 1.595 acres from B2 Community Business District and A1 Agricultural District to a CPUD Commercial Planned Unit Development. The property is located at 1464 and 1474 North Fairfield Road, further described as Book 5, Page 5, parcels 123 and 124 on the Greene County Property Tax Atlas.
Thank you. Do we have an applicant that's present this evening? Please come forward and make any presentation you'd like, but first give us your name and your address, please.
Hello, good evening. My name's Kurt Zisler. I'm with Burkhart Engineering. Address is 28 North Cherry Street. I'm here to answer any questions that anybody may have on the project.
All right, so you're going to make staff work on the rest
I'm going
of
to
it
let
then, right?
them, they
Is that
have
what
a
it
better
is?
presentation than I would, so yes.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll be back. All right. Mr. Burkett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council. The case you have before you is PUD 19-1. It's the International Harvesters Credit Union rezoning project. They're looking to rezone about 1.6 acres. Again, there's two zoning designations from B2, and then a portion of it is A1 to a CPUD in order to construct a credit union on that site. The project's located in northern Beavercreek. It's actually just southeast of the intersection of Lance Road and North Fairfield Road. There is a small retail store on the immediate intersection, and then just south of that is the area we're talking about this evening. There's currently two parcels that are associated with the proposed PUD, and on the parcels there's two houses, there's a commercial storage unit, a commercial storage area, some outdoor storage yard, and then there's also a commercial business. At this time, they're not looking to reappropriate any of the buildings, reuse them. So they're looking to demolish all that and start over with a new site. That's their plans at this time. There's nothing in the proposed ordinance that would preclude them from reusing some of the buildings, but that's their plans right now. Again, there's two parcels with a combined frontage of about 240 feet on North Fairfield Road, and there's several different entrance points on that site as right now. Again, here's a different view of the property, and you can see there's a lot going on the property. It's heavily utilized at this time. Again, the northern parcel is zoned A1 agricultural, and the southern parcel is zoned B2 as a neighborhood business. To the north is the multi-tenant retail building. To the east is actually a commercial it's an empty parking lot for the commercial business to the north. To the west is partially undeveloped B2 property, and then there's also a car wash also to the west, and then to the south is St. Luke's Church. On our existing land use plan, the proposed area is highlighted as neighborhood, community, commercial, and office, and the intent of these areas is to provide small-scale retail and convenience areas for residents of the area and the adjacent neighborhoods. So what they're looking to do is rezone the property for a credit union, and also there's a amended uses, B2 uses list in the proposed ordinances. So what we're proposing this evening is compatible and what the land use plan has called for this area. Again, it's a modified list of B2 uses is what we're proposing in the legislation. We've eliminated some of the uses in a straight B2 zoning district we didn't think it was appropriate, such as a brewery, drug and alcohol clinics, car rental places that's going to have a lot of vehicles stored on the outside, or other moving trucks and trailers and rental services. Because it's surrounded by commercial, there was no buffers or setbacks established at this point. We were looking for this next phase and to get the site plan and see what works on the site best, and didn't want to establish pre-setbacks because we're not trying to protect any residential. Planning Commission and staff do recommend all of the applicant's request, and we're here to answer any questions from the public hearing.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing this evening. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to address council on this application, please come forward now. Anyone at all? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and we will have council discussion. We'll start to my right. How about Councilmember Rushing? Councilmember Van?
Will this come back to us for specific site plan? So this is
It
just the
does come
zoning?
back for site
Yeah.
plan, yeah.
So this is just the zoning. So I'm good with it. No questions.
Councilmember Upton?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Stone. I do have a question for staff, Mr. Burkett.
Yes, sir.
I always question this, and I'm not against what you proposed here as far as striking some of the things out, such as brewery. I mean, we're how many hundreds of yards from St. Luke
Right.
Elementary there in a daycare center. But we left in microbrewery with retail, brew pub, cigars, cigar shops. I mean, are these some other things? I'd like to have some discussion if we're going to strike out brewery. I think we should knock out the whole category. You know what I mean?
I think when we look at brewery and what we think of as brewery in the proposed uses
Budweiser.
is a large-scale
Sure,
commercial
yeah.
operation with delivery trucks and everything else. We wanted to keep small neighborhood restaurants and microbreweries. That's more of a restaurant that makes its own beer than we were thinking of breweries, like I said, something that delivers or has
Right.
a bunch of trucks in and out.
Yeah,
So-
I don't want Anheuser-Busch coming in, you know, but if we're going
Well,
to
we
limit...
might, just not that location.
Exactly, yeah, I'm with you there. But I just think we should have some conversation around the category itself, I guess, in that particular area. We have the opportunity to limit through the rezoning process here. Should we discuss that?
Well, I think it's a good point, and it's one of those that, mainly just because of the location.
Yeah.
Right.
And as council's aware, we rezoned last year a few PUDs across the street, and we're trying to keep those are the same uses, and so
I think I asked the same question.
Okay.
Well,
I'd be supportive of eliminating those particular uses with the daycare and the schools. I think we have to be sensitive to those needs,
Okay.
personally.
this is a 3-reading process, as you know, so, I mean, this is something that
Absolutely.
we can throw out on the table. Staff can take an additional look at it and come up with, if they want to keep the same recommendation, they can do that, and we can make the changes if we want.
Okay.
If you look at it a little closer and you decide you might want to get rid of 1 or 2 of those, then that's something we'll look forward to the second reading and see what we have on that. Is that okay?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring the topic up.
Yeah.
I would be okay with the restaurant, though, even if they sold beer at night
Sure.
after the school was closed.
Yeah,
And if
absolutely.
it was a microbrewery, because they actually had some tanks in there, it was okay. But I wouldn't want vaping. I wouldn't want some of those other things next door, so.
Yeah.
So taking a second look is okay.
Hookah bar, I just saw that one come
Yeah,
up here.
yeah.
Not sure I want that one.
That, yeah.
Income tax preparation. Get rid of that too.
Because you're against income tax, or?
It's not needed in here.
That's a joke.
Councilmember Curran?
I have no other comments at this time. I think outside of Councilmember Upton's points, nothing at this point, Your Honor.
Well, I agree a little bit with Councilmember Upton, that just take another look at it, but I do want to say that it's very nice to see that a place that's been a community stronghold for so many years, and then the family decides they're not going to do that business anymore, that it turns over to become something totally new, and so that's a good thing. And so I wish all parties the best of everything, the family that is selling and the new International Harvester that wants to build. So I look forward to this upgrade here. All right. This is the first reading of 3, so do I have a motion to move this on to the second and third reading?
I would move to support,
Ordinance
or-
19-06.
Yeah, 19-06 and move it to the second and third reading.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to move ordinance 19-06 to the second and third reading. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. At the second reading, which will be the next regular scheduled meeting of council, there will be public comment allowed at that time as well. So if you're not here tonight and you have public input, you're welcome to join us then. All right, moving on. Ordinances, resolutions, and PUDs. Ordinance 19-04.
This is the second reading of ordinance 19-04. It's an ordinance determining to proceed with the acquisition, construction, and improvement of certain public improvements in the city of Beavercreek, Ohio, in cooperation with the Beavercreek Energy Special Improvement District and declaring an emergency.
Okay, this is the second reading of this ordinance, so it is a public hearing. Is there anyone present tonight that would like to address council on ordinance 19-04? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Unless there's comments from council, this will naturally move to the third reading. Nothing? We'll move on. Thank you. Next is ordinance 19-05.
This is a second reading of ordinance number 19-05. It's an ordinance levying special assessments for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, and improving certain public improvements in the city of Beavercreek, Ohio, in cooperation with the Beavercreek Energy Special Improvement District, authorizing and approving an energy project cooperative agreement by and among the city of Beavercreek, Ohio, the Beavercreek Energy Special Improvement District, Green Innkeepers LLC, and Pace Equity LLC, providing for the financing of those public improvements, authorizing and approving a special assessment agreement by and between the city of Beavercreek, Ohio, the county treasurer of Greene County, Ohio, Pace Equity LLC, the Beavercreek Energy Special Improvement District, and Pace Equity LLC regarding the special assessments and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Once again, this is the second reading of ordinance 19-05. Is there anyone present tonight that would like to address council on this ordinance? Seeing none, we will move this on to the third reading. Any comments from council first? All right, this moves on to the third reading. Next item, resolution 19-29.
This is a resolution to declare the necessity and intent to acquire certain parcels or real estate and other property interest owned by Carlotta Oldham with interest by others for the Kemp Road widening project in the city of Beavercreek, Ohio.
Thank you very much.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. In 2020, a project is planned to improve the portion of Kemp Road beginning from Grangehaw Road and going east to Meadow Court Drive, showing up here on the screen. Some of the components of that project is we're going to be building a new storm sewer system, curbing, sidewalks, and other features. In order to construct the project, we had to acquire additional property rights from 32 property owners. I'm happy to let you know we've reached agreement with 31 of those 32 property owners. Unfortunately, there was one property owner who passed away in December of 2017. And as of right now, we haven't been able to track down any kin or anybody who would have the authority to convey the property rights to us necessary to build the project, which makes it necessary to take this step to go to court to acquire the right-of-way. The proposed property acquisition is fairly minor. There's a proposed easement shown in yellow here on the drawing, which will be for utilities and storm sewer. And behind that, we have a proposed temporary easement for grading purposes only, which goes away after the project's completed. You know, I have the acres, but I don't have the feet. I think it's about 100 feet would be typical for one of these residential lots. Anyways, when we do this, we're required to have a certified real estate appraiser determine fair market value for the land, and that amount will be deposited when we file the case to acquire the land. For what it's worth, the appraised value is $1,190 for this land. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions? It's a pretty standard process.
Yep.
Anything? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 19-29?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 19-29. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, next is ordinance 19-07, which is the same issue, but we'll have the reading of the ordinance, please.
This is to appropriate certain real estate interest owned by Carlotta Oldham for the Kemp Road widening project in the city of Beavercreek, Ohio.
Thank you.
Yes, Mayor, as you said, this is a companion legislation. We need to pass these, the resolution and the ordinance in order to proceed with this.
Thank you. All right, any questions now? Do I have a motion to move this to the, move 19-07 to the second and third reading?
Move to have this particular ordinance moved to the second reading, Your Honor.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to move ordinance 19-07 on to the second and third reading. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Next, Resolution 19-30.
This is to authorize the application for the Bulletproof Vest Participation 2019 Federal Grant Program on behalf of the Beavercreek Police Department.
Thank you. Chief?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I have the resolution for the Bulletproof Vest Grant. Federal grant to provide funding for 50% of the total cost of the city's purchase of approved bulletproof vests. Since 2000, the police department has taken advantage of this federal grant each year in defraying costs to the city on purchasing officers' bulletproof vests. To date, a total of $51,052.90 of federal money has been approved to aid in these purchases to the city. This year, we're anticipating purchasing 10 vests at a replacement cost for patrol officers of $8,230. The city share would be 50% of that total, so that'd be $41,515. Additional monies were placed in the police budget to defray the city's shared cost for these vests. Staff recommends council adopt this resolution, allowing the police department to make application for this federal grant opportunity.
Thanks, Chief. Any comments, questions? Chief, is this a recurring grant that we get from time to time?
Yes, and if the funds roll over, so if they're not used in one year, they carry over to the next.
Very good. Anyone? Do I have a motion?
I would move to approve Resolution 19-30.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve Resolution 19-30. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thanks, Chief. Oh, you're going to stay up there, I see now. Liquor permits.
Ooh, edgy.
Yes. I have a request for a new liquor permit for Wild Axe Throwing LLC. The Ohio Division of Liquor Control sent us notification reference a new D5 liquor permit for Wild Axe Throwing LLC, 3215 CJ Drive. Records checks required by the Ohio Department of Commerce Division of Liquor Control were conducted on the business officers, shareholders for this application request. Staff is recommending the application request move forward without comment.
Wow.
What's the address of that?
I'm sorry?
What's the address?
3215 CJ.
Thanks. I would move to accept the request without comment.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Decision items. Appointment of Planning and Development Director to Beavercreek Energy Special Improvement District Board.
Mayor,
That's a mouthful.
yes, this is the part of the PACE.
Put it on his name tag, will you?
Okay. 2 or 3 lines on his name tag. This is part of course, the PACE board in creation by statute. The mayor and the city manager are part of it by statute, and then so this is the appointment that, of course, I would recommend to the PACE board, Mr. McGrath.
Any questions?
Are you willing? I would move to
He's got the
appoint
energy
planning
to do it.
director, planning development director, Jeff McGrath to, or not necessarily to the position, I guess. I was gonna insert the name, but that's wrong. I move to appoint the planning and development director of the city of Beaver Creek, Ohio, to the Beaver Creek Energy Special Improvement District Board.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Is there a term, I was looking through the document, I couldn't find it.
Not until it's satisfied and then would expire on its own. The board would be terminated.
Got it, thank you.
But we are establishing the position, not the person, so we're good.
Right, I just don't want it to be in
Yeah,
perpetuity.
no, I know, I was just clarifying again.
Any other questions? I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Next is acceptance of the first quarter of 2019 financial summary. Sir.
Just here to ask, see if anybody has any questions. The bottom line is everything's running pretty much right on budget for the first quarter. The challenge we had in the first quarter was even though we had a few less snow events, if you recall, the events we had were probably longer duration, and unfortunately happened a lot on Saturday and Sunday. So that kind of skewed the overtime compared to last year. Property taxes are coming in pretty much just like we did last year, and the one challenge we're having, and I'm sure all the folks in the entire community are having, is getting folks to come in and hired as seasonals. We're having a real difficult time filling a lot of positions, which again creates the kind of a service backlog a little bit, and creating a little bit more overtime just to get the jobs done. So, but again, just like everybody else, we've made our compensation competitive. It's just there's a lack of folks out there that want to come in for entry-level jobs. So we're struggling just like everybody else is. So happy to answer any questions you might have after reviewing the detailed report that I've provided for you.
All right, thank you. Do we have any comments, questions for Bill?
I did have one.
Please.
I'm bringing out my inner Councilmember Wilding here. Get a question on the golf course.
Okay.
We have a lot of seasonal sales, it looks like, or season passes.
Mm-hmm.
Do we anticipate that hurting our income through the summer months?
No, it's really, we changed the program. We used to have the program run annually from the date that they bought the pass. This year we changed it to January to December, a calendar year. So what you're seeing is a lot of the upfront, we're buying those. And again, I believe that the sales volume will be probably a little bit even less than last year. But again, you're just seeing that timing difference between changing the program around a little bit.
Okay.
So
I was concerned with the bigger push for a season pass that maybe it might hurt our...
Well, and again, you know, we added some other features, the all-inclusive, and again, so you're seeing a little bit more revenue with that, but the number of folks coming in, and again, it was always our design not to have a lot of seasonal pass holders, because again, we realized, just like you're saying, that we didn't want them taking up the prime time for the golfers coming in that are paying the standard rate, so.
That's all I
Good
had.
question, though.
Anyone else? Thank you. All right, next is council time. We don't have any action on that, do we?
Have to accept, motion to accept.
You wanted a motion to accept? All right, do I have a motion to accept the first quarter financial summary?
Or second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the first quarter of 2019 financial summary. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Council time. How about Councilman Rushing? Would you like to start?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Several events that I'm sure fellow council members will speak upon. The only thing I want to add is I had the opportunity to attend a stakeholder meeting, both internal and external stakeholders for the Beavercreek Township Fire Department. They're working on a strategic plan moving forward as they look for their next cycle in revenue, and was a great opportunity to sit down with both, again, internal members, but also external from all different rays of disciplines to develop a plan for our Beavercreek Township Fire Department. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Vane.
I have a whole list.
The floor is yours.
I again wanted to say I'm just really proud of the Beavercreek Youth Council. I think they're terrific. I went to the Tree City Awards. Beavercreek is the proud recipient of being part of that club of here's our certificate.
There it is, right there. Can we get that on
This has
camera?
been something that the residents of Beavercreek have wanted for 20 years. And this is the year that we had a staff person that had the
Give it to Ryan.
credential and
Hand that down to Ryan.
He can play Vanna.
Put that up.
There you go. It's too heavy for me.
yeah, he had the credential. He became an arborist and could actually, and we established a tree committee, and we can actually take positive actions in Beavercreek. Trees are so important to our air quality. I am just very pleased that we finally did this. So I was pleased to go to this meeting. It seems like it's a long time in coming, and yay Beavercreek, good stuff. I went to the Girl Scout Gold, Silver, Bronze Awards for North Beavercreek. It's terrific that in Beavercreek we have so many youth that care about leadership, and the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts and several organizations, but the Girl Scouts have a terrific program that they have the kids, the youth, build a project, take a leadership role. For the Gold Awards, they actually have to raise money. They have to recruit the team to make the project happen. They have to implement the team. It's a great learning exercise, and the room was full. We had, I can't remember the number. I didn't bring my list, but for Gold, there must have been 15 kids, and Bronze there's a whole troop of them coming up. So it could be even more if they stick through it to their high school years. So yay for youth programming in Beavercreek, and yay to the Girl Scouts. The City of Peace Exploratory Committee had its first meeting, and I think that's good for Beavercreek. It gives us, we have a great city. It is a peaceful city, but if you just don't pay attention and you do the same old, you know, what are we going to do to make ourselves better? And so this committee is kind of looking at what we do and how our youth learn about international events and foreign affairs and just a whole realm of local and personal and international thoughts about peace. And I think it'll be good. They're planning to come back to the city council with some ideas of what they think they're going to do. I think it'll take a few months because there's so many ideas, and so it's just massaging them and figure out what's workable and what we could really do. The library really stepped forward at this meeting and talked about what they were willing to do, and that was really fun to have them say we could pull some attention to activities for peace. So that's good. I attended the Greene County Legislative Breakfast, and a few others did too. It's always nice to have the state and the county, all the legislators come forward and tell us what they think's going on. It's just terrific. This year there were a few more representatives. Turner had a representative speak for him, and so did Portman. But you know, it's just it's good to hear what they have to say, their goals for what's going on. They're doing some good stuff, and it makes an impact on us. And it's nice that Greene County Career Center hosts a breakfast, and it's a good time to bump shoulders with a whole bunch of people and talk about issues that are affecting all of us. So it brings the whole county together, which is also good. On Friday, I went to the bike summit. This is a regional bike summit. That I thought it was great that we did the Great American Trail talk here, at this year's bike summit, they were talking more about off-roading, and it is such an important exercise and accomplishment for young adults and middle-aged adults and some retired people to get exercise, and they travel. It's a tourism thing, and so I think that just listening to one of our bike members was there, and Mike Thonero was there, and I was there, and it's really important for Beavercreek to thrive that we pay attention to what residents need and how we could bring other people to our community to appreciate the jobs that they might choose because there's recreational activities that they want, or that they just come here for tourism, all those things. So it was an excellent seminar. The attorney that talked about legal issues, I went back to the bike plan that we created a couple decades ago, and I wondered if we have specific laws in Beavercreek that are archaic. It's just something, I didn't have a time to pull out my bike plan to see what we put in there, but the use of horns and bells on bikes isn't as appropriate because it's not established by the state law, and so it doesn't hold up very well. And I can't remember if it's in ours or not, but I know we talked about it a lot at that time. So something to think about for what our specific City of Beavercreek laws are, and if we really want them to stay the way they are. And the last thing is stormwater issues. My hostas are growing great this year because we've had so much rain. The bad news is there's been excessive problems in some neighborhoods in Beavercreek, and flooding because of stormwater is a problem. We've talked over and over about the need to think forward to a community-wide solution, but our city has chosen to have a bare bones budget, so we can't afford to do a lot of stormwater things, even though it's our responsibility. But this week, or this last month, when we've had so much rain, it brings to a focus how important it is for us to think about how much money we have in our budget and the capital improvements that are needed, including stormwater, and how in the world we're going to pay for them, because it is a city responsibility. So I just plant that seed, something else we need to probably bring back to the table again and figure out how we're going to deal with it, because streets were flooded, yards were flooded, swimming pools were created.
I don't think it's ever been off the table.
But I mean, it just kind of
It's just
goes
simply
dormant a little bit.
It does, it goes dormant simply because of money. And
Yeah, I get it, but we need to quit kicking it down the road and figure out, okay, how are we gonna do this? So, something to worry about. Anyway, it's been a good month. It's been a 3-week break for city council, so that's a long list of stuff.
Yeah. Councilmember Upton.
Thank you, Mayor Stone. Just a couple quick items. Attended the recent MVRPC meeting, and just a quick reminder for staff, the municipal bridge grant applications are coming up. So I'm sure you're on top of them, but if not, they're due, I think it was August 15th. So if we have some bridges that need some work, and these were grants geared towards maintenance of bridges, not necessarily creating and building, but maintenance of existing bridges, bring those forward. And then I don't want to steal the thunder of our city manager, but I do want to thank the community for the support of our levies last week. The city levies passed, and very appreciative of that. So I'll let him go into details more about those issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Curran.
Attended the legislative breakfast, as Councilmember Van mentioned, and I wanted to make a comment about the tree city. In talking with that committee, Your Honor, and council, they said their first thrust was in the public sphere, to try to do whatever we could to improve the quality of the trees on public property. I was trying to suggest to them something else, which granted in time I hope they'll do, which is to develop a website or program for residents. There used to be an adage that if you cut a tree down, plant a tree. And I'm hoping that in the next year they'll put together a package of awareness so that the residents of Beavercreek can be more conscious of the tree canopies in their own property as well as the area, which makes our city very beautiful.
And very important to add to that is the right type of tree.
Absolutely.
We have some, especially in the older days when people
Correct.
would plant trees that are just not appropriate. And
Right.
we're seeing huge things now that are.
Yeah. Thank you.
So it would be very helpful, I think, for people to know before they go buy a tree. All right. Just a couple things. The parks and street levy were already mentioned. I'm sure city manager's going to get into that. But I want to thank our staff. And it's not just parks and streets, but it just happened to be this time. But if it wasn't staff for doing such a great job, it wouldn't be easy to. These levies would be very difficult to pass. So staff does a great job with the money that the people give it to them. And so I want to thank them for doing a good job. Tomorrow, I have 32 foreign officers coming here to City Hall that are out at Wright Pat. They come for about 4 weeks out of the year. That's always fun. I just made arrangements for, they usually go over to the police department after they leave here. Well, I got a little stop for them in between. I'm going to have a fire truck out front. So they'll be able to get some pictures there too. But these officers come here to learn about local government. They're on this particular day. Most of the time they're learning about how to acquire defense materials and that sort of thing through the DOD. But they have a good time here, and they all get to be mayor for a second when they're here. So looking forward to tomorrow. And with that, I will turn it over to the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Stone. Just want to reemphasize to everybody, if you haven't seen it, we have our Beavercreek Police Department and City Hall open house this Saturday. So this Saturday is supposed to be 80s. So, and I don't think right now, at least this morning's news, no rain. So May 18th from 11 to 2. So you'll see demonstrations, and they love the vehicles and the drone displays, care flight. Weather permitting, we'll land out here, the K9 demonstrations, and free food and family fun. McGruff, the crime dog, as well. We'll be up here trying to show different aspects of City Hall as you roam down from zoning to engineering to up here, finance and council chambers here. We'll be having a police demonstration up here, as well as any of the council members that can make it. We'll be more than glad to, take a picture, show, let you be mayor here for a minute and take a picture. A lot kids really love that. Mayor Stone does an excellent job, as well as all the other council members really do an excellent job with children. And they're fascinated with the gavel and sitting in the mayor's chair. They love it. So bring your kids, sit in the mayor's seat and get a picture taken. And of course, with all the police demonstrations, come and enjoy it. That's 11 to 2. Again, yes, thank you to the residents for the both overwhelming passage of the street levy and the park levy. I mean, without these were vital funds for the senior center, to everything, all the maintenance of all the parks, and of course the roads levy definitely allows us to keep on trucking with the improvements to the roads. And a lot of people, what we've already said to a lot of people is that the ability for this levy frees up funds that allows us to apply for these grants that we get. Because we do have to have a cash match, and this establishes that we will have funding to apply in confidence over the next few years to be able to get the grants that we apply for, which we're very successful staff. Thank you for all the hard work that they do on that. But that'll allow us to move forward with a lot of the repairs on our roads and streets. I will say this too, a lot of people say, well, we just passed streets and And I'll piggy on back on Councilmember Van's comment on the stormwater. You know, unless it's in the street and we're doing a reconstruction, road widening, and the street is part of the stormwater. We're doing stormwater at the same time we're widening the street and having, like out here on Dayton Xenia Road. Well, that's part of the project. But to just go into a neighborhood and say we're going to do stormwater, we have zero funding to do that. The street levies do not allow us to work on just stormwater. So a lot of people say, well, they just passed a street levy. Well, yes, that helps us on if we're reconstructing the whole road and widening, but not just to go into a neighborhood and say we got to fix this stormwater issue. So it is an issue, but we thank you for voting for both of the levies that we had, and we will be good stewards of the funding, we promise. Just wanted a couple of things. Just North Fairfield still will be continuing on the curb and catch basin work. The good news is that the milling and resurfacing hopefully will begin by the week of May 20th, and of course that will be depending on the weather, and it will be done during the evening hours. So you see a lot of the curb and catch basins work that's going on right now. So we're going to get that done, and hopefully by the end of May we will have a nice smooth street stretch through there. So that will be nice. Also, there's on Indian Ripple out by the green, that was just repaved last year, but the contractor is coming back to repair a few rough spots that didn't go down so well at their expense, I might add. So look for some more milling and repaving out by Indian Ripple Road out by the green. And of course that will be at evening hours as well. And just want to mention real quick, we have some specialty day camps. Please look at our website, our Facebook, our Twitter. Register online at beavercreekohio.myrec.com. There are all kinds, and I'm not going to go through all these, but there are all kinds of specialty day camps that your kids would love to do. The dates, the programs, what age groups they're for, they're all out there, and the costs associated. So please check those out when you get a moment. And other than that, that's all I have tonight.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So, back to the stormwater, the street for the squeaky wheel, the residents have been complaining to me. I've had 3 residents come out and talk to me in the street there, is Edwin. And we are in the process of we just put curbs in, we just put new storm sewer grates and stuff in. So it's in, and we're going to repave it as soon as we can. So this is a specific area where maybe you're not widening the street, but you are specifically improving that street with curbs and stormwater grates, and you're going to be repaving it. So I would behoove the staff to look at that one and see if you can't solve that. So right across from the high school, you don't have to put up high water signs because the street is flooded.
Okay. Moving on, the next item on the agenda is citizen comments. Do we have anyone with us this evening that would like to address council on any issue at all? Anyone? Seeing none, we will move on. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move, Your Honor.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.